on the street. An officer took a newborn child from the arms of a crying woman. To everyone's shock, the next second, the officer cruelly slammed the child to the ground and followed it with a fatal stomp. The woman burst into hysterical cries, and the cruel act left the onlookers petrified. However, the officer's rage was not yet sated. He drew the pistol from his waist and shot at the woman. Then, the officer ordered his soldiers to continue searching elsewhere, determined to slaughter every last one of them. It was 1939, during World War II, and after signing a pact with the Soviet Union to divide Poland, the German army unleashed relentless bombing on Poland. A girl named Irena, who narrowly escaped, returned to find a German officer had forcibly taken over her home. Her parents and 4 sisters had all gone missing in the chaos of war. Seeing this, Irena quickly walked away, pretending she had mistaken the address. A while later, a group of German soldiers stormed into a church, hurting Irena and other Poles outside. They were to be forcibly sent to work in a German factory. The highest-ranking German officer in the area, Major Rugemer, personally selected several strong young people from the crowd to board a truck and follow him. Irena was among them. A few days later, assigned to work in the kitchen, Irena encountered the cruel officer again, sitting at the same table as Rugemer, chatting. It seemed they had a close relationship. And just days ago, Irena had witnessed this officer brutally killing a newborn child and its despairing mother. The officer's name was Lokita, a member of the SS Gestapo. Now, Irena had to serve Lokita with a forced smile, ultimately earning his repeated praise for her excellent cooking. Soon, Mr. Schultz, the logistics manager of the unit, noticed Irena's competence and considered promoting her to oversee the laundry room workers. The workers had exaggerated their skills, making a mess of tailoring and mending clothes. Mr. Schultz hoped Irena could resolve this issue and then shared some survival wisdom for chaotic times with her. Irena then went to the laundry room, winning their trust with a sincere speech, and learned they were not tailors before the war. They had been doctors, teachers, lawyers, and artists, professions once highly respected. One evening, while serving dinner, Irena overheard Lokita discussing the next raid location with 2 subordinates. Moved by compassion, she immediately forgot Schultz's survival advice and decided to secretly warn the Jews. Early the next morning, Lokita led soldiers to the raid site, only to find no trace of Jews. Furious, Lokita grabbed a soldier's machine gun and sprayed the building with bullets. That night, while Lokita was sharing tips on dealing with Jews with Rugemer, Irena overheard Lokita's plan to take away and eliminate all Jewish workers from the factory on July 22nd. Driven by sympathy, Irena quickly informed the Jews in the laundry room. Just as they were at a loss, a sudden opportunity arose. Rugemer, bored with the lack of entertainment in a military dormitory, decided to move to a nearby Jewish villa. He planned to make Irena, known for her efficiency, the housekeeper there. The most dangerous place could be the safest. After some discussion, the Jews in the laundry room decided to take the risk. The villa was currently occupied by a Polish officer's family. Rugemer ordered them to leave by the 23rd, but Lokita planned his raid on the 22nd. Where could they hide on the 22nd? This dilemma puzzled Irena. While cleaning Rugemer's room, she noticed a ventilation duct and instantly had a new idea. On the evening of the 21st, while Rugemer was out attending a theater performance, Irena brought the Jews from the laundry room into Rugemer's room and hid them in the ventilation ducts. The next day, when the soldiers came to capture them, they found that all 11 Jewish workers from the laundry room had mysteriously disappeared. Irena feigned ignorance, insisting she knew nothing. Mr. Schultz, who always regarded Irena like a daughter, stepped in to smooth things over. That evening, Irena secretly added some sleeping pills to Rugemer's drink. In the middle of the night, while he was sound asleep, Irena led the Jewish workers out. They soon arrived at the suburban villa, where Irena hid them in a cellar she had previously scouted. For the next 2 weeks, Irena balanced arranging the workers to clean and renovate the villa with caring for the hidden Jews. Despite the challenges, her efforts yielded impressive results. 2 weeks later, the colonel visited the villa for an inspection and was very pleased with Irena's work, suggesting she should have an orderly to help with the heavy and menial tasks. Irena declined, claiming she had a very unpleasant experience with a Soviet soldier before and would be constantly fearful sharing a roof with a soldier.
The houses were well maintained, as if someone had been living there recently. However, there was no sign of any inhabitants. As they explored further, the sign
At a party a few days later, the 11 Jews in the cellar secretly assisted, and the attending officers were highly impressed with the array of dishes. After the guests left, Rugemer discovered that Irena had not only cleaned the dining room, but had also washed all the kitchen utensils, leaving him amazed. That night, Rugemer was woken by intermittent noises, seemingly coming from the cellar. He got up, grabbed a flashlight, and headed toward the sound. The heavy footsteps of Rugemer woke Irena. She rushed to the light switch on the bedroom wall and flicked it a few times, warning the Jews in the cellar to find hiding spots quickly. When Rugemer reached the cellar, he shone the flashlight around the walls but found nothing suspicious. At that moment, the 11 Jews were hidden under the chute next to the coal pile. They held their breath and silently prayed. Fortunately, Rugemer, finding the surroundings silent, returned to his room. Early the next morning, he waited for Irena in the kitchen. After the major left, Irena hurried to the cellar to discuss their next move. They speculated, based on the villa's architecture, that the previous Jewish owner might have built a large hidden space. Exploring the cellar, they discovered something unusual behind a wardrobe. Behind it was a concealed passage, leading them to a large secret room. From the small window on the wall, they identified that the secret room was right next to the garden gazebo, allowing them to live without fear every night. The next day, while washing apples in the kitchen, Irena suddenly heard the doorbell ring. Looking out the window, she saw it was a middle-aged woman, the lady who sold vegetables on the street. Most of the fresh vegetables for the major's house were bought from her by Irena. Irena explained that they still had plenty of supplies in the warehouse. Before she could finish, the woman said she wasn't there to sell vegetables today. Irena went to the secret room to discuss this with the others, surprised to learn that they all knew the vegetable lady's husband, Henry. Henry had previously been the butler of the Rotenburg estate. As the war intensified, Henry sensed the German policies towards Jews would become increasingly brutal, so he hid. This became a stain on Lokita's career, and in his desperation to restore his dignity, he searched frantically for Henry. Now, the vegetable lady knew about the Jews hiding in the major's house. If Henry is caught by Lokita in the future, Lokita will definitely use all kinds of cruel methods to extract useful information from him. At that point, everyone would be doomed. So now they have no choice but to bring Henry here. That night, under the cover of darkness, they worked together to bring Henry into the secret room. A few days later, a group of German soldiers arrived at the villa. The leading officer said they had received a tip-off that a group of Jews was hidden there, and then he led the soldiers inside to search. At that moment, the informant was watching everything from outside the villa's iron fence. Shortly after, Rugemer drove back. Upon learning of the situation, he flew into a rage and harshly scolded the searching officer. The officer, caught in a difficult position, had no choice but to order the soldiers to conduct a perfunctory search. However, the next day brought a new challenge. Ida, one of them, suddenly discovered she was several weeks pregnant. Given their precarious situation, let alone bringing another child into the world, they decided to have an abortion after discussing it. One of the doctors gave Irena a list of the necessary medications. But as a devout Catholic and a traditional Pole, Irena was firmly against abortion. The church's teachings strictly prohibited, and a few days ago, she had helplessly watched Lokita cruelly kill a Jewish baby in the street. After a heartfelt persuasion from Irena, they all regained their hope for life and abandoned the abortion plan. A few days later, Irena received a blackmail letter from the informant at the villa's door. The letter started with insults and demanded that she bring a large sum of money to the train station at 7 p.m., place the money bag on the bench next to the clock, and leave. If she didn't comply, Lokita would come after them. At this critical juncture, they realized they might find a breakthrough from the letter itself. Sure enough, after reading the letter, Rugemer was furious. He called Lokita, scolded him, and told him to handle it himself. Lokita soon came up with a solution and reported to the major. That night, Irena took the money bag to the designated location at the agreed time. As she placed the bag and turned to leave, a burly man descended the stairs, grabbed the bag, and started to walk away. At that moment, Lokita, who was watching from a distance, blew his whistle. Several of Lokita's men instantly rushed in, tackled the man, and began beating him. Uncomfortable with the violence, Irena left the scene. Back at the villa, Rugemer poured Irena a drink to calm her nerves. Shortly after, Rugemer received a call from Lokita, who informed him that the man had been executed and hoped the incident wouldn't damage their friendship. After everything was settled, Rugemer was very pleased with Irena's performance and decided to give her a day off the next day. A few days later, while out buying groceries, Irena saw Lokita with a group of soldiers erecting a large gallows in the city square. Several people, including children, were hanged for harboring Jews. Lokita ordered their execution, and the sight deeply traumatized Irena. Back at the villa, 3 Jewish women came to the hall, asking Irena what she needed help with today. Seeing Irena's grave expression, they wanted to know what was wrong. Just then, Rugemer returned with a briefcase and was shocked by the scene in front of him. Seeing the pregnant Jewish woman with her large belly stunned him even more. After the 3 Jewish women left, Irena went back to see the major. Rugemer took several large gulps of liquor and loudly scolded Irena as she walked in.
Quickly ran with the others. While fleeing, they reached a road where a car suddenly pulled up. The vehicle...
In the end, Colonel Rugemer couldn't bring himself to take action because he had deeply fallen in love with the beautiful, kind, and capable Irena during this time. Then he placed the gun on the table and started sharing his thoughts with Irena. He was tired of the endless killing and, facing the current situation, planned to help Irena by allowing the Jews to continue hiding there. After Christmas, Rugemer received a call from Berlin headquarters, informing him that he would be sent to the Eastern Front to fight the Soviet army. The major suspected that Berlin headquarters had believed recent rumors that he had fallen in love with a Polish girl. So the major specifically instructed Irena to lead the Jews into the forest after he left. On the day Rugemer departed, Irena dressed everyone in the clothes she had prepared in advance. Disguised, they successfully passed through the German checkpoint. They reached the forest at midnight, where the vegetable lady and some Polish partisan friends were waiting to meet them. Everyone hugged Irena and thanked her one by one. Then they waved goodbye, hoping to meet again someday. In 1945, after the end of World War II, Irena was imprisoned by the Soviets on charges of being a double agent. The evidence pointed out that during the war, Irena was secretly in contact with both the Germans and the Polish partisans. However, shortly afterward, the vegetable lady and her husband Henry took the opportunity of delivering vegetables to the prison to successfully rescue Irena. Once they reached a safe place, Henry handed Irena a forged passport he had prepared in advance. Later, Irena immigrated to the United States, where she married and had children. After hiding in the forest, Ida safely gave birth to a son. Post-war, Rugemer became destitute and homeless, and Ida and her husband took him in. Rugemer became the honorary grandfather to Roma. Lokita was charged with war crimes after the war, but the case was dismissed and he died in 1976. A miracle also befell Irena. In 1984, she found her 4 sisters who had gone missing during the war and reunited with them in Poland. In 1982, Irena met Ida's son again, and she passed away in 2003. This is the story of the movie Irena's Vow, based on true events. If you traveled back to that era, would you help them like Irena did? Thank you for watching. Please hit like button and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.